pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almost didn't get that last part out.
Of the pledge or of your prayer?
My prayer. Jenny, are you ready?
I'm not quite sure, Judge, but we're going to give it a try anyway. Item 1, presentation A, Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, West Kentucky Field Rep, Mark Welch.
Mark, you come and identify yourself, who you're with, and give us some good news.
I do have some good news. My name is Mark Welch. I'm a resident of Callaway County and your representative for the Department of Rural and Municipal Aid with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. I have a long letter, Judge, which I'm going to leave with you. I'm not going to read it all, but the letter does address the governor's vision and commitment for economic development across the Commonwealth. Let me pick up about halfway through. Our job in the Transportation Cabinet is to help the governor's vision come to fruition. In order to continue our economic success and development, we must have a strong infrastructure. You have limited funding at the county level, and we also have limited funding at the state level. That is why Governor Bevin has been adamant that we work with you and other local officials and communities across the Commonwealth to assess and prioritize infrastructure needs. He wants us to look through the lens you look through every day, and he wants us to continue to build and strengthen our relationship with the Daviess County community. As part of Governor Matt Bevin's commitment to have the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet work with local officials to prioritize transportation infrastructure projects and increase economic opportunity across the Commonwealth, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is pleased to announce $651,619 in discretionary funds have been awarded to your county for vital resurfacing work on Stevens School, Greenbrier, Lake Forest, and Yelvington Grandview roads.
Let me interrupt you there.
Please.
That calls for...
Congratulations. Let me end by saying that you have reason to be optimistic about the future of your county and the Commonwealth. I know you will continue to work hard every day to make Daviess County the best it can be, and I guarantee you Governor Bevin will continue to fight every day to bring even more economic success to our great Commonwealth. I appreciate the partnership we have. I look forward to working with you again in the near future. Sincerely, Gray Tomlin, Commissioner, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mark.
Al, your mic's not on.
Sorry, I would just caution you that we're not going to work very hard to make Daviess County, Indiana a success. We're going to do it for Daviess
I'm
County.
sorry, that's my West Kentucky accent.
I understand. You ought to hear what we call Callaway County. Greenbrier, and in this case, we're going to pave entire roads, isn't that correct, or pretty close? Greenbrier from one end to the other?
Well, Greenbrier, a section of it's being done in this current fiscal year repaving,
Okay.
so we're going to go from 140, Kentucky 140 to Red Hill Maxwell Road, where
Okay.
we are starting to pave.
The Lake Forest Drive, that's the main thoroughfare through that. That's probably the largest subdivision we have in Daviess County, I would
Probably,
think.
yes.
So it's going right through the middle.
From Kentucky 54 to Settles Road.
Right. So, and that's probably, how old would that be, do you think? How old is that drive?
That road, it's been built in sections, but 15, 20 years old.
15, 20 years old, hasn't had anything done to it since. So,
I'm aware of.
and then the other two are very rural roads that, all of these met the matrix that the KYTC had set up, and I know that they would have perked to the top probably next year, so this kind of puts us ahead of the curve in our paving next year, doesn't it, Mark? Okay. Mark, just convey our thanks to the governor, and as I said earlier, tell him that we're certainly here to take any more money that he could find for
I'll
us.
see what I can do. And
Okay.
congratulations to Daviess County.
Thank you. Commissioners, any conversation, anything that you want to say?
Just make sure we really thank the governor and everybody who was involved in this decision. We're always constantly battling to get our roads
I know you are.
caught up, and this is a great, giant step forward. Thank you.
Good.
Commissioner?
And I would just say thank you and to the governor and his entire staff. And if you ever want to come back and bring more money, we're glad to have you.
And Mark, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Suzanne Miles,
Yes, of
Matt
course.
Caslin, and the other, our representatives and senator there. I'm sure that they had their finger in the.
They did. I
In
know they did.
doing this. So thank you very much. We look
Great.
forward to getting some more of it.
I'm headed back to Murray. Thank you.
See you. Thank you. Before we go on, let me say that you'll notice to my left, to the left of Commissioner Wathen, we have an empty chair. Commissioner Koger had some surgery last week, I guess a week ago today, doing very well. And Mike, if you're watching this on Facebook or whatever we're on, wish you a speedy recovery and hope you're here next meeting. We're probably going to save some of the more controversial things for you to vote on when you get back. Next item.
Item 2, consideration for approval, A, minutes of the April 18th and 24th, 2019 court meetings.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Commissioners, you've had a copy of those minutes in your possession for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Again, Commissioners, you've had a copy of all the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession for some time. Any questions of the treasurer? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
C, resolution 11, 2019 regarding MidAmerica Airpark.
Commissioners, this item is going to be pulled from the agenda tonight, so next item. Claude, we don't need a motion to pull it.
No, Judge, I don't believe so.
It's going to be pulled.
D,
Next item.
award bid number 8, 2019 Drury Road Bridge replacement.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge, the fiscal court solicited bids for the replacement of a bridge on Drury Road. We received 3 bids which ranged from $196,360 to $257,530. Our consultant engineers have reviewed the bids and are in agreement with our recommendation of the low bid submitted by Scott and Murphy Incorporated. They had no exceptions to our specifications. And just a note, the court will not be ultimately responsible for the total as presented here. This will be funded out of the 80-20 bridge fund, 80% state, 20% county. I recommend approval.
Mark, what was the original, what did we have in our budget to do it? 240
Approximately. yes.
roughly? So we're pretty pleased this has come in
This is
under
a part of
budget.
that 300,000. I
Right.
think we had 60 in design already accounted for, so
Scott Murphy has done several projects for us, and we've been very satisfied.
very pleased with their work.
Commissioners, any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
E, second reading of KOC 921-674, 2019, and ordinance amending text in Articles 3, 8, 14, 20, and 22 of the Owensboro Metropolitan Planning Ordinance.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, this is the second reading. We had our first reading at the special joint meeting with the city last week. Melissa Evans from OMPC is here. If you have any questions regarding these text amendments, any questions, any comments? I just want to say thank you, Melissa, and the OMPC planning staff for the work that you put in on these things. Several of these have been issues in the past, and we're trying to address some of the concerns that you have heard, some of the complaints that we have received, and I think it's a good example of showing how the flexibility of OMPC. And you know, we as a court adopt these things, the city commission adopts these amendments. Sometimes people forget that it's not your amendments, it's not your rules and regulations, it's actually the elected officials. So thank you for what you do over there. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
F, second reading of KOC 860.8, 2019, an ordinance approving an emergency medical service and ambulance agreement by and between City of Owensboro, Daviess County, and Mercy Ambulance of Evansville, doing business as AMR Ambulance, the exclusive countywide provider of emergency ambulance services for the 911 dispatch system.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Claude, would you kind of walk us through what we've done and where we're at and
I'll
what
try,
we're doing?
Judge. Basically, this agreement is the same one as we have with our current provider. The subsidy is the major change in the contract. The subsidy now will be at $150,000 for the first 2 years. There'll be a provision in the subsidy that allows the city, the county, or the ambulance service for cause to ask for changes in that, and it will be reviewed each year based on audited reports from the provider, including their performance over the 2 years. We have agreed as part of that the first year of operation, we will not use any penalty part of our performance, just to allow the new contractor who began on somewhat of a short notice. So we have allowed that, and otherwise I believe it's pretty well the same contractual agreement we have with our current provider.
So, in the short of it, someone that would use ambulance service June 30th, 2019, and someone that uses ambulance service July 1, 2019, there should be relatively no
They would
change.
probably not know any difference other than perhaps the color of the truck.
Sure,
But
okay. And the city passed theirs
yesterday, I believe.
yesterday at a
Judge.
special call meeting, so once we do this, then we can,
Send
I
this-
think AMR will receive it and they will mobilize and do the best they can to get everything ready. Just kind of as a reminder, it's been a long, drawn-out process. The city manager and I and the city attorney, the county attorney, actually started on this the first week of January. I don't know that there was a week that we didn't have at least one meeting and sometimes two meetings. Part of the reason, I think, and I've got more to say here in a minute, but part of the reason that it drug on so long is we kept waiting for the hospital to come along, didn't we?
We did.
You know, they wanted to be a part of this. At least I thought they wanted to be a part of it. We kept waiting for them to bring decision makers to the table, and they never did have a decision maker at the table. I did have a meeting with the mayor and the city manager, with Greg Strahan, the CEO. Not much came out of that meeting. We got to the point where we had to make a decision. We had to move forward. This ambulance service is much a public safety issue as police and fire, as I've said in the past, and that's not to demean what police and fire, the sheriff's department does, but it's just a fact that if you have a stroke, you need somebody that's qualified to transport you, to attend to you, and to get you to a hospital. So we pretty much, actually, we were asked to be ready to make a decision 1st of March.
Yes.
Middle of March. We were told middle of March is as far as we can go, and here we are at the end of April, 1st of May.
1st of May,
So,
yes.
we just had to move forward. I wish we had more time. I wish, Claude, number one, that we were able to have negotiated a 1-year notice
Right.
as opposed to 6 months. Unfortunately, we're still at 6 months. We need a couple things. I don't think there's any question that anyone doesn't know my position regarding the ambulance service. I think that the hospital name should be on this contract, that they should be providing, if not as an owner, but they should be contracting to provide the ambulance service in Daviess County, because who better? I was told that all the local governments are the best place for that to come. We don't do health care. Our regional hospital does health care. They know what should and shouldn't be done. I think their name should be on the contract. I think they should be doing the contracting. I think that the hospital should pay the subsidy, 100% of the subsidy. I think that Commissioner Condor the other day said, what other business has their customers delivered to their front door at no cost?
Right.
So I think that conversation is ongoing. The hospital wanted to link any participation in the subsidy to some set of issues. They call it healthcare issues in the county, but I don't know that we need to be negotiating healthcare in the county. But I would call on the hospital to make public as soon as possible what they wish the local governments to do that will affect and make healthcare in this community better. I would absolutely be willing to have that conversation, but I want it to be in a public setting. I don't want it to be behind closed doors, because I think if you talk to the majority of the citizens out there, that hospital is not private, it's public, and it's their hospital. So I would make that call. Claude, I would also ask that if nothing else, number one, we need a backup agreement. And we do not have a backup agreement.
It has not been signed. We do have an agreement written, drafted, but it has not been provided.
And I would ask that if nothing else, we do a friendly lawsuit to find out exactly who's responsible for what regarding the 78 agreement and 2008 agreement. And I believe the commissioners on this court would agree with that. Commissioner Castle?
I would certainly support that.
Commissioner Wathen? We don't need our public to be left in the dark, and we don't need the public to be left at the, well, we just don't need this uncertainty when it comes to public safety and health care. So I hope you got all that, Austin. That's my feeling, my personal feeling. I think that I probably mirror the feelings of this court. I think I probably mirror the feelings of the majority of the city commission. It should not be an adversarial relationship. Working together, we can do a lot of good things for the community, but when you get into an adversarial relationship, it's bad. With that, I would publicly apologize if I acted untowards at our last meeting. I get kind of passionate, particularly when I don't believe that people are very forthcoming in answering questions that they're asked. So with that being said, commissioners, I've talked so long, I've got to take a drink of water. Would you like to say anything or ask any questions?
I just want to say, Judge, I want to thank you and Claude in particular for your work on this. I recall when you called me and let me know that we were dealing with this, that it was not a happy day. It was a stressful moment knowing that we had this to deal with. I also want to thank Mercy Ambulance of Evansville for coming to join us at this in working out an agreement that will benefit them and also our citizens.
Okay.
I'm glad we have it. It's so important.
Amen.
It's
I mean,
important.
in the end, and in the end, we needed to move forward, and we had to unlink the desire to have the hospital participate and the safety of our citizens, and that's what we did, and we have moved forward. One other thing I forgot. Anyone from the public wish to come to the podium and say anything?
And Al, if I could, while you're waiting for a response, I would like to say thank you too for Yellow. They've been working with us in this community for many years, and I appreciate as far as I know, it's always been a relatively good relationship.
I mean, so, there have been off times. There have been it's been good. Sometimes there were concerns, and the funny thing is, several of those concerns were precipitated by the hospital.
Yes.
They wanted, what was that story, Little Red Hen? Who's going to help me plant the wheat, harvest the wheat, and eat the bread?
Right.
So, anyway, if there are no other questions, and Claude, this contract that we are presented tonight is the contract the city voted on last night and had not a pre-approval, but it's a contract that AMR has seen and they're in agreement.
Yes, we've made some revisions from the first reading. Those revisions are not substantive, but they are ones mostly in language.
Okay. All right, if there are no other comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
3, consideration for appointment. A, Davis County Deputy Alcohol and Beverage Control Administrator David Smith, term 1/1/19 to 1/1/2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Let me say, Mr. Smith, thank you for serving as deputy. David, I am the guy that they were coming to, but I was turning it over to David anyway, and he's the one that needs to be doing it, so thank you for doing it. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
4, consideration for discussion. A, other business to be brought before the Davis County Fiscal Court. I'm not aware of any.
All righty, next item.
B, public comment.
This is a time during our meeting in which we ask the public to come forward, identify themselves at the podium. If you have any comments or questions on anything other than what was on the agenda, we'll certainly be happy to try to accommodate you. I don't see any, Jenny.
C, comments by Davis Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Wathen,
I'm going to pass.
Commissioner Castlin.
Just want to echo your wishes to Commissioner Coger for a speedy recovery, and so he can join us again.
Okay. Once again, we had a really great celebration out on the courthouse lawn. The rain storms, the waters parted, and we were able to carry on with what we needed to do outside. Good attendance, particularly for the threat of storms. I had a health department meeting, so I was able to go out and meet a few of the people, and then I had to leave. The courthouse will be closed May 10th. So the courthouse will be open through that Thursday, but everybody needs to remember that barbecue festival, they'll start setting up the evening of May 9th, May 10th, they'll be setting up. We won't be able to get in. People won't be able to get in. I guarantee you there will be people who will show up wondering why, but it's the barbecue festival, and the entire community tries to make that a success. USPS, the United States Postal Service Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive, is May the 11th. So you will be asked, I think, to leave cans of food out on the porch or at the mailbox. If you would do that, it's absolutely a good thing to help stamp out hunger in this community, and goes along with Agricultural Commissioner Ryan Quarles' attempt to stamp out hunger in the Commonwealth. Pie auction, May the 3rd, that's tomorrow at Whitesville. It's the pie auction and chili supper and hot dog fest. All the proceeds go to Wendell Foster Center. It's always a wonderful time. I always enjoy seeing Charlie try to screw up the courage to spend more than $10. You gonna get Lisa to give you some extra money?
I'm just going to run up the bid on the one you always buy.
Yeah, and then I'll back out and you have to buy it. All right.
We better have an ambulance on standby if that happens.
I would tell you that this court sent a letter to the governor requesting that he look and see if there was a way for him to give us some discretionary funding regarding the Cedar Hills sewer project. That is moving. I received a call from DJ Johnson talking about the issues and what was needed, and apparently it's gotten back down to DLG, the Department for Local Governments, because Joanna Shake with GRAD received a call regarding it talking about other ways that we could get some money. As you recall, we were able to get money for the Friendly Village sewer system, where those residents are going to pay about a quarter of the cost. The Cedar Hills residents will have to pay 100% of the cost, simply because they don't qualify for low to moderate incomes. There's not a sufficient number of them. So we've been looking. When I was in Washington, I ask again, everybody up there, they all are familiar with the Cedar Hills sewage project, I can tell you. The Cedar Hills project has been bid, and we received some, I think, some good bids back. I don't know that Joe is ready to, with RWRA, is ready to release that, but they were within the range of the bids. And lastly, as you know, back the third week of April, I attended a conference with a group of people, or it wasn't a conference. We all went to Washington, D.C. and met with Senator McConnell and Rand Paul, our representative. Actually, we passed him flying home, Secretary Elaine Chao. It was an excellent meeting, and I received a letter from Mitch McConnell saying he was happy to see us and look forward to working with us in the future. So a lot of things going on. If there are no other things to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court, without exception, we're adjourned.